What is going on, fam? How is everybody doing? How is everybody doing? I hope you all are having a wonderful day. I had initially, if y'all pay attention to the thing, I had initially canceled today's show, but then I said, no, 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 no. Because, those gnats, that's a gnat in here. They be trying to get at the fruit. I swear you can't have no fruit during this time of year. But I said, no, fam, because something happened. I wasn't going to talk about this. And for those of you all who are on Patreon, you know I gave my review on Patreon. We had a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun. But that was going to be that. But I decided to just put some clips up on YouTube, so that people didn't think I didn't say anything about it. I think people have forgotten who I am. I'm the person who initially said, hey, we should have movies that reflect our culture. We should have ADOS movies. And not just African. I think people forgot who I am and who I was and what Antonio Moore and I did. I think y'all forgot that. Some people did. And I think people also forgot what the metric is for being a good movie. So you can forget whatever you want to forget. You can like what it was, that art, art is art and art is subjective. There's also a such thing as bad art. And let me just say this. We're not going to get anywhere as a group if we can't tell the truth to one another. I feel like it's Obama era all over again, where if you say anything, you hating on a black man. And then guess what? I was right. You can like something. Right? You can like a piece of art, but you have to know why. And the problem that I kept having with people, and I want y'all to call in. I want to know, because the problem I kept having with people when they said, well, I liked it and you just trying to stir up trouble. And I'm trying to give an honest opinion, and that's my right. I didn't spend it, but that movie was $30. Right? And I had to get food. If you spend your money on something or somebody else's, you have a right to have an opinion. You Negroes are not going to shout me down. If there's one thing you should have learned about me is I can't be shouted down. I don't care. I'm not going to get shouted down by you. And if you spend money, I have a right to have an opinion. You don't get to tell me to go somewhere and be quiet. And you don't get to be stupid. Listen, the era of Negroes being stupid has to be over. If there is a metric for everything. So the metric for whether or not you have enough gas in your car to make it from point A to point B is how much gas it takes to get from point A to point B. That's the metric. We have a metric for movies as well. You can't just say, I don't know, I liked it. My people was there. That's what got you to the movies. What got you to the movie theater is that your people was there. That got you there. That doesn't mean that the movie was about your people was good. You have to be able to explain that to me, because Antonio already did this, so I'm not going to get into it again, how problematic it is that the Asians were viewed as friends in that, and the Chinese as friends in that movie, when we know we were viewed by them as a contagion. We've seen a bunch of tweets about that, Antonio Moore's show about that. We know we were a contagion and we were not friends. So that retelling of history in and of itself is problematic. That's problematic, because now you got people writing about the allyship of ADOS and Chinese that did not exist. They were brought here to disrupt us from having grocery stores. So those of you all who talk about we should have had our own stuff, you don't understand the role that bringing these other folks in here, especially the Chinese that were in that movie, had on us not having. They were brought in to disrupt us. So to have Michael B. Jordan playing whichever time he was playing whichever one, Smoke or Stack, hugging him like he didn't look. Which one was that, Smoke or Stack, that hugged him? I want you to call in and explain it, fam. JX, when the calls come in, I want you to call in and explain it to me, right? In a very rational way. But that's dangerous. Now, I want y'all to understand one other thing. These Negroes didn't hug nobody else. I'm not going to go over everything I said. I'm not going to go over everything I said on Patreon, but he shot a Negro by a truck. Spoilers, shot a Negro by a truck or whatever for leaning on his car, was very disrespectful to cornbread. But you hugged the Chinese person, right? And I think part of what's happening here, and I'll let y'all know when I open up the phones, but part of what's happening here is a lot of people are seeing things that are not there. So to give you all just a bit, I will show you uh some of what I said on Patreon, just so you'll have a taste. I know I put a little bit of it on YouTube, but just so some of you, I will have a little bit of a snippet, and then I'll come back and I want to just go through some other things really quick. We're not gonna be here all day today. Don't worry. I only jumped one time in this movie. That was when Cornbread said, "At least pay me," and he put the money in his hand and he tried to pull him out. But I'm not putting money in Cornbread's hand anyway. If I think he's a vampire, I'm throwing that money. Boop. Bye, Cornbread. Because Cornbread was trying to get back in the house because you got to invite him in, remember? And Cornbread went outside to pee. And when he went outside to pee, they got Cornbread. And he had the man who was the drinker. Oh, what was his name? They had him, Delta Slim. They had him at the front door, and he was like, Cornbread out there to use the bathroom. And Cornbread came in and wanted to get back in the house. And they were like, why you keep asking to get in? So that was the only moment where I jumped a little bit. And the whole time, listen, I don't like horror movies that don't make me jump. Like, at least you can do cheap stuff to make somebody jump. Just something at the screen real fast. It don't have to be nothing deep. So that's why I don't even consider this a horror movie. I think they might have put it in the horror genre, but this was not to me. This was not to me what it was, and I can't. So the only thing that could have probably made this better to me was a little bit of Jonathan Majors, because he just, but it still wouldn't have been. I don't think it still would have been what anybody else needed it to be. I don't think it. That's why I say I left the theater. So Smoke left the guns after surviving the vampire attack. See, somebody said they mentioned the guns earlier. I don't even like that. How did he survive? I want to know how. So he set out all those guns after surviving the vampire attack. Hey, man, to each his own. To each his own. To each his own. Yeah, Chadwick, rest in peace, would have ate this up too. To each his own. But, the guns were on the truck. That's what I thought, though. But it's just like you have to make a play. And it doesn't work unless the guns are there overnight. Like, the plot doesn't work unless the guns are there overnight. Because if the guns are there overnight, then you can go and make a play for the guns, and we're rooting for the person or people who are going to get the guns. If the guns get left in the morning, it doesn't make sense to be written that way. Yeah. Yeah, I understand they're erasing our history, fam. I know all that. But yeah, they mentioned the guns, and that's the time. That's what I'm thinking. So the guns were there. They mentioned the guns, so that means the guns were there. You have to make a play to go get the guns. And if they hadn't spent an hour trying to start the juke joint in the first half of the movie, we could have had a whole lot of time of them trying to listen. The most fun part of the horror movie is the people trying to figure out how to defeat the monster. We only had like 10 minutes of that. The going to get the guns or trying to get the guns would have been big. Even if Annie had some kind of holy water or something, right? And that was part of her root work. And she brought that, and like there was supposed to be like a lot of time fighting these vampires. And a lot of time, if you want to say the Irish, we're going to save you from these people, a lot of time with the Irish trying to convince them that I'm not the real enemy. They are. We are vampires. We're not the real enemy just because we drink blood. What you fighting us for? Like that could have been some real tension. And you always want to see the person try to survive. It's kind of like like you remember how even with like the old Jason movies or something, like somebody is walking, trying to tiptoe and get away, and they step on a branch. And then the monster's like, they step on the branch and the monster's like that's a suspenseful thing. And they might get got or they might get in the door just in time. You shut the door. That's what you want. We didn't have any of that here. It's not even that it was done badly. We didn't have any of that here. And I don't think we understand what it means that we did not have any of that here. Now, I would love to hear yeah, there wasn't no Mississippi accents in here. Wasn't no Mississippi. No, they didn't study people from Mississippi. They didn't. They didn't. It's obvious to me. They didn't study people in Mississippi. It was just they let all these people decide, what do you think a Southern accent sounds like? What do you think somebody in 19 whatever Mississippi sound? That's what they did. Like they didn't study none of this. But listen, I'm gonna get off of here. I'm gonna set up the phones. And I'm gonna y'all can tell me what y'all think. And it's, if y'all think I'm wrong, tell me. I just didn't care for it. So give me a few minutes to set up the phones, fam. That's just, fam. That is just a bit, fam, a bit of what I said on Patreon. And I like me a good horror film. So I know that this was not a horror film. And they used the whole first part of Searching for the Juke Joint to hide the fact that it was not a horror film. Now, I want to just bring something up real quick. So, let me just bring something up real quick. I want to let me see. Hold on a second. And I want to just see something. I want, and anybody can answer me. What are the elements? Because if not, I'm gonna try to experiment with something and write it myself. What are the elements of a film? Because one of the things I keep seeing people do is recoil against any kind of alternative analysis. And that means I don't care about your Chinese grandfather. Like, thanks for the dollar, but I don't care about your Chinese grandfather. Like, because this is the stupidity of the moment, right? We look at one person who has a Chinese grandfather and say that person represents the group, when we have papers written about how they felt and why they were brought here. See, y'all changed the world just to match the fact that you want to like this movie. Like I have up there, way up, white people in my family. Does that mean white people were good people? Does that mean that they were good to my people? Does that mean that? That doesn't mean nothing. You have to go, I said this a long time ago. The lens through which we understand a community, and it can be any community, comes through data. It comes through history, and it comes through understanding. It does not come through your granddaddy. Like, and I didn't get to read the whole comment. So if you were saying something bad about your granddaddy, I missed it. Like if you were saying my granddaddy, I'm just telling you, we cannot understand the group and how groups intermingled and how they were brought in opposition to ADOS. You cannot understand that through your granddaddy. That's what I'm telling you. I'm telling you, you cannot understand it through the white people way up in my life. You cannot understand it that way. So stop using your personal story to try to interpret our American story. Sometimes your story is in line, but you don't know if it's in line or not unless you go and you consult history. So those of you all who don't read books, you stand out like a sore thumb and you're in the way. We can't carry y'all no more. We cannot carry y'all no more because y'all want to like a movie. Now let's talk about movies, because you're never objective, and there's a consequence to never being objective about anything. And you want this to work so bad. You're so aspirational. You want to see a good movie so bad. You want to see us represented so bad that you're willing to bring your granddaddy or whoever else into the thing. That's not how any of this works. We use history. We use data. That's how you measure a group. And you can go back and find out how the Chinese felt about us for the most part. You can go back and find out why they were brought here. You can go back and find out about their advantages, and you should be asking yourself why Smoke or Stack, whichever one of them was, why they hugged the Chinese man. They didn't hug no other Negro in the movie. So much for your Negro love, so much for your ADOS love. Now listen, what are movies? So let's talk movies. That's supposed to say movies. Hold on. Let's see. What are the aspects of filmmaking? Because one of the things that's happening too, because we just love to just believe stuff. What are the aspects? You have to use the metric for what makes it a good film. I kept asking people, what makes this a good film? And people kept telling me, I liked it. No, there has to be some analysis for why you liked it as a movie, not why you liked it as a puppy, as an orange, as a drink, as a Kool-Aid, as a strawberry. Strawberry has certain qualities. If I tell you why, I like blueberries. Ooh, this one was really sweet. They had a really nice kind of little crunch, but it wasn't. That's a criteria for blueberries. Had a nice taste, nice flavor, almost perfumey. That's a criteria for a blue. What is the criteria for a movie? You can't just say. You cannot just say, well, I liked it without being able to assess it through the criteria of movie making. This is not hard. So let's talk about it. Hold on. One of them, narrative, right? You have to have a strong narrative. So tell me what the strong narrative was. Was there structure? Was there conflict? Was there a theme? What were the stakes? That's when you talk about, that's just one part of the movie. But if that's what you believe, you gotta be able to tell me something about the structure, something about the conflict that really drew you in, something about the stakes that were involved. You gotta be able to tell me that. Now, I didn't see enough conflict I didn't see no real conflict until the vampires got there. And then the vampires got there. It wasn't no vampire movie to me because the vampires came as fast as they went. So how is that? And when we talk about structure, they spent the entire first part of the movie looking for the place of juke joints. Hold on, you're going to give me a vampire movie. Whew. If you want the specifics, again, go to my Patreon, patreon.com/ycarnell. I'm not going to go into all of the problems that I have. I'm not going to do that. But y'all going to stop telling me that you can assess a movie when you don't even know what the elements of a movie are. It didn't have no structure. How did it have structure? We spent in a vampire movie, we spent 15 minutes on vampires. And even if you had given me a bunch of historical stuff that led up to they finna knock over the thing that's gonna bring the vampires out and they trying to stop, they went over there. If you had given me a storyline where the first half of the storyline was actually them trying to prevent the vampires, but they got out anyway, at least that's part of the vampire story. They spent the whole time trying to buy groceries for the juke joint. Who edited the movie? That's enough, fam. You just said it in the chat. Mary McSingleton. That's another part of it. Who edited this? See, this felt like somebody to me. This felt like somebody was just being lazy, right? Well, we ain't got to do all that. Let me tell you, it's people that take advantage of you because of what you don't know. It's people that take advantage of you. Negroes don't need no structure. They just need some aspiration. They just need something. They just put them some Negroes in some suits running around the South, and they got all this ADOS stuff going around. They'll eat it up. They'll love it just because, everybody they just want to see themselves represented now. They'll love this. Just put them out there. It's so deep. Y'all saw a bunch of stuff. Listen, I think Kendrick Lamar does go deep sometimes, but this was like worse than that when you're trying to interpret something. Well, I'm going to tell you what. I saw some lady online and she said, what does it mean that you have one person over here? And what does it mean that you have Smoke and Stack right beside each other and one has the light on his face and one don't? And then somebody came and said, it just means they were filming that the filming took longer. So the sun was at a different place in the sky. And they were too. What does it mean, child? Ain't no meaning and no deep in everything. What are you talking about? What's going on? I mean, then you have, another part. Let's go to another part. Hold on. So in movies, we have to have compelling characters. So Smoke and Stack was twins, right? Friend, fam, you can call in. You don't have to keep paying me. I'm not one of them. I'm not one of them that you have to. I know they do that a lot on YouTube. You got to pay to get your question seen or whatever, but you can call in. Compelling characters. So I know they try to do that with Smoke and Stack, who, by the way, drove from Chicago all the way to Mississippi with a bunch of whiskey or something, and they didn't get stopped by the police, and their car survived. Remember, this ain't the day where you have no rights. The police can stop you, kill you, and steal your liquor and your car. So okay, but we're talking about believable. Now, we're not talking about whether you believe in vampires. when we talk about believable in terms of character, do I believe this character? Do I believe this character? Since so many people are talking about how great this movie was, I have talked about it in the line of, and talking about it deserves an Oscar, I have talked about it in the line of The Color Purple. Do you believe Sammy the way you believe Sugar Avery? Because they had them both walking into the church. When Sugar Avery walked into the church, I thought about this the other night. When Sugar Avery walked into that church, let me tell you, I wanted her to reunite with her daddy. But I remember the song. God is trying to tell you something. God, listen, you knew, and you thought about it. Is there going to be a confrontation? That was tension. You got all the sinners who be at the juke joint on Sunday walking into the church. Oh my God, what's this going to happen? What's going to happen right here? Did you feel that? Now, we saw this at the beginning of the movie, and I said, oh, this is going to be good, because I wasn't even going to watch the movie. Antonio told me to watch. I said, I'm not getting involved. He said, no, Yvette, you got to see it. It's bad. I said, it can't be that bad, Antonio. You got to be exaggerating. Ain't no way you telling the truth. And then I went to see it, and I said, now comparing it to when you saw Whoopi go through what she went through. Now I have a whole lot of problems with The Color Purple in terms of its treatment of men, especially because you can't make ADOS men always the villain, and they're never the hero in none of the movies. Had a lot of problems with that. Had a lot of problems with this whole thing about Africa, and she went to Africa and she's a savior. But I'm talking about what was done in terms of making that into a film. You believe those people were in Mississippi? I mean, even the way. Like, think about how Oprah laughed. Like, I believe I know her. She ain't nothing like the regular Oprah. I know that lady. I believe these people are from my past, and I saw them early on in life. Believability. Growth. Did anybody grow over the period of this movie? Good or bad? It don't got to be a good growth. It could be they become a monster. Relatability. Did you relate to anybody in this movie? Did you see yourself or anything in this movie? Like, you can see yourself in vampire hunter movies because you see somebody, you ever been watching one of these movies, you say, that's what I would have did too. The same thing I would have did. She right through my own mind. You got to go and get that knife. I don't know why they running left. You should be running right. Yes. Did that movie ever make you do that? I remember I saw this movie and it was just it was just decent for a horror movie, but I still enjoyed it. It wasn't no great, nothing to write home about, but it was decent because it had a decent premise. The woman was running from somebody who was trying to kill her. It was just like a fun Sunday or Saturday afternoon movie. But she was deaf. And she was running from somebody who was trying to kill her, but she couldn't hear. Oh, and he would be creeping up on her and she couldn't hear. And you'd be trying to shout at her, you don't get your deaf butt out. Hey, that's a believable kind of reaction. And it causes you to kind of root for the person as well. Oh my goodness. This is just crazy. Let me just it's a shame. It's just a shame you got to do some stuff like this. That's just a shame, you know it. It's a shame. It is a shame. Let me just go to some other things too. Okay, so you also have, yes, you got a whiteboard movie because everybody's saying they like it, fam. They can't tell me why they like it. So we have to talk about some things because everybody doesn't know what the metric is for whether or not you like it. You have to have a metric. Everything has to have a metric. What are we doing? What are we talking about? Okay, fine. Be that way. Direction. That's another metric, ladies and gentlemen. You should be able to discuss these things. Vision, tone, not tone talks, tone, pacing. The pacing was awful because we spent the whole first part of the movie trying to figure out how we gonna set the juke joint up, and is the agents gonna buy groceries? And the agents must have been your best friend because they canceled everything that day and y'all hugged. And you know what I had a Negro tell me on Twitter? That, well, Yvette, that art is up to interpretation, and you interpreted that hug that way. No, I didn't. A warm embrace and the way they reacted to each other, and then saying that you are going to leave your store all day or whatever and leave your child or whatever and go help this Negro from the juke joint lets me know y'all are friends. That's not open to interpretation. You cannot make up your own world about a movie. You cannot. Direction is so important. Direction is so important. Let me tell you something else. Like, it's also like, how do you end a scene? Where do your eyes go? Hold on. Oh, like, honestly. Like, how do you hold a scene? So when you talk about hold a scene, remember, we go back to The Color Purple. Missy, till you do right by me, everything you do. We remember that. It's like, because we've been waiting on that the entire movie. And I understand this movie don't have to be great, but you have to find some elements of this. In the movie, you have to find some elements and say this part, this kind of directing, this kind of when he can, even in a horror movie, you can say, oh my God, he almost got him. Oh, he almost got him. Or even if he get him, he got him good. He snuck around there. Did you know he was around there? I didn't see him run. Did he go around the back? I didn't see him going around the back. I tell you, a good horror movie, you know the mark of a good horror movie? You start telling other people what you would have done in that situation. I would have never went out the back though. I don't go outside. Because why they go outside when all the weapons inside? Why they do that? I would have never done what he did. Why he running? You be trying to talk to the people. Stop. Don't do it. Don't run. Well, we didn't have time to really make this a horror movie because the vampires was there like, 15 minutes? This is not a horror movie. They played games with us. They played with our emotions. This is not a horror movie. The vampires were not here long enough. And the vampire was like I told everybody, all my people last night. Like, or was it Nightfall? I can't remember. But like Nightfall, on Patreon. I said, listen, there was a way to even play with the Irish. The Irish said, they said, are you the Klan? The Irish said, oh no, sir. We believe in equality. Okay, wait a minute. He might be on to something. I might be able to use one monster to fight another monster. That was a whole theme that it could have been developed in terms of the Klan come, and now the Negroes done united with the vamps against the Klan. Ooh. And you begin to reevaluate how you feel about monsters. Wait a minute. If this monster, we just have to drink blood and I live forever, and we defeat this white supremacist monster, maybe, and we can debate, is that something that we should engage? Is that something that we should do? No, not here. That didn't happen. Don't think it happened. It didn't happen. It did not happen. It did not happen. Don't you believe it for 1 second. It did not happen in this film. But everybody running around talking about how great it was and can't say why it's great. Yes, because you're not talking about the elements of any kind of film. They don't have, when you talk about even cinematography, talking about framing. I think that was probably decent, right? I'll give that a pass. Somebody mentioned editing, right? Editing is something that you never see, but it has such a big impact on the movie. It controls whether or not you just stay with it or whether or not you get bored. It controls, I guess that we can call that the rhythm, right? That's what editing controls. Like, oh my God, you ever seen a movie and you was just rap the whole time? And somebody come talk to you, leave me alone, like, he walking in there, oh, I don't know what he gonna do. They got him surrounded. I had a movie, what was I watching? I was watching something not too long ago, and it had me so wrapped up, I had to pause and just check my heart. Like, cause if this character leave, I'm gonna miss it. Cause you get invested in the characters. I'm just asking an honest question. Were you invested in these characters? I'm just, hey, and why? Were you engaged because, hey, these are Negroes who are on the screen, they're ADOS in Mississippi, I love them, or were you invested because you were waiting for something to happen that never happened? I was watching because I was waiting for something to happen because they came in with a bunch of loose ends that they never tied up. So they came in, the Chinese girl was just watching them, and I thought she was gonna do something, but she was a vamp and nothing happened. They came, the boy, when he did the stuff with his daddy and walked to the church, I said, oh my God, they're harkening back to The Color Purple for a reason. Like, this is gonna be powerful. That never came back. There was some gold coins somewhere. That never meant anything. There were so many things that were introduced in the first part of the movie that were supposed to mean something later on in the movie, and it just never happened. So you were just kind of left. It was just kind of like, what happened to it? And I'm not even remembering all. I said some more of it on Patreon. I'm not even remember all. There were a bunch of doors opened, and you in the beginning of the movie that was supposed to be closed by the time we finished watching the movie, and it didn't happen. And so, like I said, I'm not going to get into all of that. But these are important parts of like filmmaking. And like the other thing we can, and this, one other thing that we can talk about really quickly is dialogue. Part of the reason I bring up Color Purple, I'm not saying this movie has to be Color Purple. I have had parts of the dialogue that I remember, but not a long time, right? I have watched horror movies. I find something funny or something just weird, and I remember it, but not for a long time. The Color Purple was best because you remember lines for a long time. You told Harpo to beat me. Like, you remember that's dialogue. The dialogue has to be natural, not cliche. And it has to reveal. And when I say reveal, I mean it has to reveal the character, right? So all of those things have to happen. And for me, this is just me. I am not, you know, I am absolutely not. When I go to break, I'm gonna put the call in. Don't worry. I am not, what am I trying to say, fam? I'm not trying to be mean to nobody, but what I am saying is this. And like I said, I'm not going to be here for a long time tonight. I think Ryan Coogler was trying to make an ode to our, let me see, I'm not trying to say this, and this is just, all of this stuff is stuff that a filmmaker has to know. And Ryan Coogler has to know this. There's no way that he doesn't know that these things have to happen, I feel. And I don't know what happened. But then again, he's the same man who did an interview and said that these things come from that this show, which is about Mississippi, he got the idea of the twins from Yoruba, Nigeria. So he did an interview and said that too, and it didn't make any sense to me. How the idea of twins, and twins is just a natural thing that happens in movies sometimes because you have plot devices. Okay, we're going to do twins. He said, I got it from something in Yoruba in terms of Nigerian. And, you know, he said, that's where we from, West Africa. You know that, right? Like, everybody knows that, Ryan. Everybody knows that. Like, I don't know if you think you dropping knowledge or something, but everybody knows that. So, I want people to call. If you enjoyed the movie, I want you to tell me why. Like, I'm gonna end it in a second, but if you enjoyed the movie, don't just call in. If you want to call in and tell me that you enjoyed the movie, please just don't call me and say I enjoyed it. I want you to have an idea about why you enjoyed it. Okay? And what were the themes? What were the aspects? In terms of what we just talked about, right? In terms of how we critique a movie. We have to critique a movie. We have to be able to have discussions. I feel like I had better discussions when I was in elementary school about movies than I had about this movie. Like, at least when Jason and Freddy Krueger was out, you could say, oh, wait. And when he came through the phone and then he did that and then he thought he was safe, he was in a bathtub. You know how you be in the bathtub? You be looking under the bathtub. Like, you were having discussions about, oh, I found that part really suspenseful. Oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, I didn't. All of those things, we did that in elementary school, fam. Or middle school, depending on, like, or maybe if you one of the young babies, you didn't do it, but you did it with something. Like, how have we downgraded? Yeah, the Chinese just wanted their money. So anyway, fam, give me a break and I'll put the number up and give me a second and I will set up the phones, okay? Because I'm going to give you time to have you say your piece. All right, fam. I am back. I just want to remind everybody too, though. Make your point concise because we have a lot of people in the call in tonight. So just try to make your point as concise as you can. I'm not saying rush through it, but just try to get to it, fam. If that makes sense, get to it. Ain't nothing to do but to do it. So I'm going to go to my first caller. Going to go to 919. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
I appreciate this. I appreciate everything you do. I was Mary Miss Singleton in the chat, and I think this was a great movie, and I could tell you why.
Okay.
You want to hear?
Yes, finally somebody who can tell me why.
The shots. It was the editing. You did not see the editing. Most times when you see a character played by, two characters played by one person, they don't cross over each other. They don't like crisscross in front of each other. They did that. Editing is good because you could not see it. What I really loved about the movie is what a lot of people did not see. And what they did not see is probably because they don't understand the history. With that speech that was given by the vampires after the vampire dance, mirrors exactly the ethos, the pathos, and the logos of Jim Jones when he persuaded all those Negroes in the Bay Area to go to Guyana and drink the Kool-Aid. It was exactly the same speech.
Okay.
And what happened was so interesting. You saw these black people dancing and giving him all this energy, and it was the white people in charge. And then what you saw was like, and what I know this was on Coogler's mind was because Coogler is from the Bay Area, and his uncle is from is the Secretary General of the Longshoremen's Union, the national Longshoremen's Union. So it's in his mind, and everybody knows the history of the Jim Jones's People's Temple, All People's Temple, because they were like the foot soldiers. This white man would come out and bring them out to like Angela Davis protest, Soledad Brothers protest, the Harvey Milk protest, all that stuff. So he was really integral in being like a radical. It was like a open theological. Inclusive Christianity that obviously was very screwed up and crazy. But I think that's what was doing, because what Coogler also does in a lot of his films is he makes the bad character have a good point. Right?
Well, no, wait, hold on a second. Hold on. Let me just say one thing though. That's not just what Coogler does in Coogler films. Like that's what villains do a lot of times. Like when you see the Joker always got a point. Like, you know what I mean? Like he's not, he's crazy, whatever, but and he's blowing up stuff, but he has a point about society and what's wrong with society. So I just want to make sure we understand that's not a Coogler thing. My question to you would be, if that is the theme and we're talking about that and how to and what he was saying and how it mirrors something else, do you think that we could have drawn that out and made that a part of the plot as opposed to like a 15-minute interaction with the river dance?
I do think that it was kind of brought out to some degree. I don't think it had to be done, but I think that because of our people being so, kind of invested in the theatrics and the razzle-dazzle of things, that was a way to get it across. And then if people decide to do the research on their own, they might understand it. I do think that the film, when Preacher Boy brought those ancestors, I've never seen that in film before.
When he did what?
I'll say this one more thing.
When he did what?
The ancestors, when Preacher Boy played that song and all the ancestors came and started dancing, that was something that was never seen. That was captivating.
You enjoyed that?
Because he understands ratio.
Okay. See, the thing is, I can. What I'm hearing from you though is nice moments, and to me, nice moments don't make a film. Like I can see that, and I can concede. Okay, that was a nice moment with the ancestors dancing because the music is supposed to be the thing that is in between the veil, and that's when these two worlds collide, right? So I can see you as seeing that as being a nice moment. I don't think nice moments can redeem bad movies though.
It was arresting, and what I'm gonna say is bad movies have memorable moments. Birth of a Nation, right, was a horrible movie with a terrible message. But there are images from that to this day that we can never forget because we continually see it in movies today without even realizing it. Like we'll see images from it in Raiders of the Lost Ark when he was going under the wagon or the train. That's straight out of that. Just to see the idea of trees moving and the whispering. We remember that. We don't even realize we remember those images. But there's so many repeated images of that over and over again. Almost every film we see every year released since Birth of a Nation, we continually see images taken directly from that period of time. And what I would argue is that film is a unique, it's a literary genre, and so it has characteristics of literary genres, of forms and structures. But as film, as an image-driven medium, what you most remember isn't always dialogue. Sometimes it is only the imagery. And sometimes that is what makes it different. And when imagery is unprecedented, I do think that does qualify.
But see, the imagery that has most moved me in film has been connected to the narrative and the storytelling. So it's just, somebody, and I could just generalize, somebody's rushing home and they got their mama a cake and they see their mama grab the chest and fall out dead or whatever. Like, it has to be tied to something. So for me, that the ancestors moving wasn't tied to anything except the beginning of the movie when they told me what music represents and what it does. It wasn't a part of the storytelling of that movie, not enough to capture me in any kind of meaningful way.
If you are tied to the tradition of hoodoo, as I am, it does mean something. To me, it does mean something.
Should you have to do that? Should you have to be tied to that tradition in order for that to be a good movie? That's what I'm saying.
I do think a lot of Black Americans, and hoodoo is, my grandmother didn't, she didn't call it a shrine, she called it a prayer room, a recession room, okay? She didn't do incantations, she read the 101st Psalm, but she was still doing the same thing. That is hoodoo. And so what I would say
where I'm from, they called it root work, but I understand what you're saying.
When Annie came in, root work, yeah. When Annie came in there, and, you just saw the family, those little children, you see that she wasn't just a hoodoo woman. Because a lot of times when you see hoodoo women or conjure women in film traditions, they're often isolated and not a part of the community. They feel some sort of alienation of community. You could see Annie was integral to that community. You could see when you argued about the fish, you said, I bet you, she got mad. She was more mad when he accused her of using old fish grease, right? Than when they tried to say that, she was a vampire.
But let me
ring true to me.
Let me. Yes, it can ring true and not be a good story. Like, you can have a good moment. Like, see, let me just say this. One of the things I said on Monday is that they could have used Annie. Like, so you go into this beginning of this film, and Annie is and whichever one child was it, Smoke or Stack? Which one was it? Well, is talking.
Smoke was the one with the blue hat, and he was the oldest.
Who was the one with Annie? Who was the one with Annie?
He was the oldest, Smoke.
Okay, so Smoke meets Annie when it's filmed. He goes back to Annie and he asks Annie about the root work. Do you still do that stuff or whatever? And she says yes. And he says it didn't save our child. So immediately there's some tension there about this root work and what
he still had his root around his neck. He still had his.
I got that. No, but that's not where I'm going. That's not where I'm going. I'm saying that they could have used this film to make root work valuable. Like, when it makes no sense. I wanted Annie to redeem herself. So when they come to her and he asks her, hold on, wait a minute, wait, let me finish. Just let me finish. I'm gonna let you finish. When they came to her and said, hey, she already failed with the baby. She didn't say the baby with the root work. So when he comes to her and says, you got anything for these vampires? I need Annie to say, you doggone right. And make a believer out of these people. And so you redeem something that has been culturally valuable and show how, hey, because that's what it's supposed to do anyway. It works in the spiritual realm. It works in the supernatural realm. That's what vampires are. Let Annie get busy. I feel like they missed the whole moment there. There's right. So many plots.
Okay, that's a good point. That is true. That's true. He probably missed, I don't know why he missed that, but I do think that Coogler was interesting in that. I don't like the fact that he uses that, terminology that your boy used, that one over there.
Yeah, child, hey, well, birds of a feather, but
the fact that he used that blew my mind. I can't believe Coogler uses that terminology, the F1.
Well, but you do use it when you're just trying to take advantage of something. Like if you hear around the way, he's in California. They're both in California. So if you hear around the way, there's this new thing. Okay, you're gonna try to mention it. People know you mentioned. They're gonna go out to see it and try to see it in a good light because I was mentioned in it. See, I don't put anything past people. I don't put anything past these people, especially celebrity people. But I appreciate your commentary. I'm gonna try to get to some more people. But I appreciate it. All right, now you have a good one. Let's see. Going now to going to 323. 323. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? Oh no. Oh, fam, you sound like a robot. No, you sound like a robot. I can hear you, but you sound like you coming in straight from the robotics.
No. Hold on a second. Let me see if I can switch it up. Hold on. Let me get him. You hear me better now?
Yeah.
Okay. What's going on, fam?
Pretty good. How about you?
I'm good. Yeah, I had a few points that I wanted to bring up on this film. One is that it's funny that nobody is allowed to speak critically about this film. And no one is allowed to say anything negative about this film. Who does that remind you of in our recent history?
Obama
and Kamala Harris.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Obama is trauma for me. I'm sorry. Obama is trauma for me. Obama is so much trauma for me. I always go back to him. I'm sorry.
Yeah. You could not say anything negative about Kamala Harris. You couldn't even analyze her record in a truthful way. They wouldn't allow you to. And I think it's funny how that carried over to this film. That's one thing I noticed. The other thing I noticed is the way they weaponize language against the people who are critical of the film. They call you divisive. They say you're being antagonistic. They're saying you're being, self-hatred. It's funny. Those people created a better narrative than Ryan Coogler did for the film. How are they coming up with a better narrative hating up than Ryan Coogler did for the film? That don't even make sense.
Nope.
It's crazy. Another issue is, you guys were talking about Annie. Annie had a storefront. Annie's storefront was a shack in the middle of nowhere. Meanwhile, the Chinese people had two major storefronts on Main Street. How are you watching that and feeling empowered? How are you watching that and thinking that you had allies?
And shouldn't you watch that and say, well, I want to see my own do well. I want to see what my people had back then. We had some stores. But go on, fam.
Right. And then my last point, I don't know if you talked about Ryan Coogler's personal biases. He has personal biases with the Chinese American community. He talked about in an interview how his father-in-law did an ancestry search and found Chinese people in his ancestry. That was one he referenced. And then he also said that he has Black and Chinese mixed cousins in his family. So I think he let his personal bias.
And he probably be watching all that anime. He probably.
Yeah. And he said there's already been a lot of talk about, the negative experiences between the communities. I wanted to point out the positive and the love. So
But you can't make it up when we know why they were brought into that community, right? And they were brought into that community to kill Adolf's freedom. Well, that's why they were brought there. That's what I was trying to tell the person in the chat. It don't matter what happens with your individual granddaddy. Any one individual can love somebody. We have interracial relationships where people love each other. That don't mean that like white racism and systemic racism don't exist. So you can't just rewrite that by creating your own new story that is ahistorical in terms of the history that really happened during that time. That means you're setting up something to where you have a lot of people who will never read books about the Chinese and them in the Delta. They will never read that, but they will go and see your movie. And you have a responsibility to those people, not just your anime and your DNA.
Right. And I think, mentioning, piggybacking on what you just said, Dr. Amos Wilson said something very similar. He talked about how the relationship between a man and a woman, in the case of an interracial relationship, is not the same thing as the relationship between their two communities. It's not the same thing. I'll leave it at that.
Yep, that's deep. I appreciate it. That's deep. A relationship, an individual relationship between families is not, between two people is not the same as a relationship between two communities. And this movie should have highlighted the relationship between the communities. And I didn't like the fact that he treated, Smoke or whoever. I just don't smoke from Stack. He treated all that. He talked real bad to Cornbread in front of his wife. She might suck your pickle. You talk real bad in front of him, and he's like, don't disrespect my wife, but you loving on and hugging on the Chinese. Come on, man. Give me a break. That's how I know he just threw that. I ain't gonna even say it. Don't get me to talking. Let me see who I have next. 410. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? You there, 410?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. Cut down your background though a little bit for me.
Oh, okay. Okay. Am I fine?
You're fine. That's as good as it gets.
Okay. I just wanted to say that I'm David. My name is David, but I go by Thesis One, and you responded to one of my comments about the tropes of the prodigal son.
Okay.
I think you said that it was lifted from The Color Purple, and I said that that's a common trope in throughout film.
But it's not common. It's not common how the trope is rendered. Like the trope is not necessarily always rendered as the child who went to the juke joint. And I told the child as a pastor not to go to the juke joint. And they went to the juke joint and they came back during service and they walked up to the pastor while service was going on and embraced. That rendering is not necessarily common. That's what I was talking about.
Yeah, I understand that, but the common trope of the prodigal son coming back to the church, or having a scene where the prodigal son comes back to the church to, I guess, to reconcile with the father. That's very common.
Yeah, but just not from the juke joint. Because it was the same thing. It was a juke joint in Mississippi. It was the same thing. It was a juke joint in Mississippi during the same time period. There were a lot of commonalities there.
And you asked me what did I like about the film, and now the film didn't have an overarching. You're right that the film didn't have an overarching theme that ties everything together.
Don't you need that?
But you need it to be a great film. You don't need it to be a good film. And I felt like this film was a good film. It was an entertaining film. What I liked about the film the most was the symbolism of the vampires as the white liberal. The vampires symbolized the white liberal in the way the vampires were very cunning.
Hold on.
Trying to
pause right there. Pause right there. I want to point one thing out. You and the caller just before you have had two different versions of what the vampires represent. You know why that is? That they didn't give you anything to lean to in terms of any kind of foundational knowledge. Okay, this is what the vampires are. So what happens is everybody kind of projects what they think the vampires mean. And I would say that the vampires weren't there long enough to tell you what they mean. They just said, we believe in equality, and they started dancing, and then they had a pub up, and that was it, and everybody was a vampire, and then he killed them in the lake. It didn't last long. But see, everybody has a different takeaway.
I believe the caller was too specific. I think the behavior of the vampires, the white vampires in the movie, is much more consistent with the way white liberals have historically interacted with blacks in a very cunning way.
Maybe not. You'll never know. They weren't
trying to play on our desire, our collective desire to belong.
That could be. You could be right. But guess what? I will never know whether she was right or whether you're right, because the writing wasn't good enough to tell me. I won't know who was right. Anybody can put their interpretation on who those vampires were, because the storytelling and the writing was not good enough to tell me what those vampires, and the vampires weren't there long enough to tell me what it was really about. That's a failure.
I don't disagree with that, and I would concede that and I said this to my sister, who believed that the film was brilliant, and she told me that before I saw it. And when I saw it, it didn't necessarily blow my mind, but I was entertained, and I would concede that the film needed much more development, and it needed an overarching thing to kind of tie everything together. And I also like to further answer your question, what I like about movies, because I'm a history buff, I like the backdrop, the overarching backdrop of history of the movie. Even though the relationship between blacks and the Chinese wasn't exactly accurate.
It wasn't. No. It was just a lie. It wasn't. It don't have to be. No, we're not talking about exactly accurate. Like it not being exactly accurate would mean the Chinese were kind of mean, but they didn't really hate us as bad. No, this was the opposite. This is not about just entirely act. This is the opposite of who the Chinese were then, and the opposite of why they were brought here. It's ahistorical. As a history buff, you should be able to call it ahistorical.
Well, that aspect is ahistorical, but as far as the set and the way they portrayed the setting, that's consistent with what the time was.
Yes, it had a good setting. The setting is not enough. Listen, the movie doesn't have to give us everything, but it has to give us a lot. And then what it does is it may leave a little bit open to interpretation. I gave you a lot, and then I'm gonna leave some stuff open so you talk about. That's not what happened here. They left everything open. Like I hear you, fam, but I'm gonna have to get to another caller. I absolutely appreciate you calling in. And I understand your position. Go ahead. 10 seconds.
Can I say one more thing?
Go ahead.
I just want to say one more thing. Another problem with the movie is that Coogler was trying to do too many things at the same time, and he failed to focus on one pathway, and I think that kind of aligns with what you're saying generally about the lack of development.
Yeah, he threw everything at the wall.
My plane there.
I appreciate you. He threw everything at the wall. It was vampires, and it was color purple a little bit, and it was Mississippi, and it was the Chinese like the people, and we're gonna have everybody kind of having raunchy sex, and we don't even know why this woman is cheating on her husband because we ain't got no backdrop to that. So for it to matter to us that she's cheating on her husband, we just know she's there cheating, and Annie's there, and she's an octoroon, and we don't even know like what's the importance of her and her mama. Her mama, you just left my mama, and you didn't know it. Child, we don't even know why your mother's important to the story. Like she raised them or whatever, and they left. Okay, is that supposed to mean something? Like none of that wowed me or drew me in any kind of meaningful way. 301, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, how you doing? My name is Rashid out of here from Maryland.
Hey, Rashid, what's going on?
One thing I did like about the film. I see what you're saying about orbital interpretation because with the twins, they were bad guys throughout the whole film, but they kept being presented as good. And it was wild because, like, they were gangsters. First things first, they were gangsters, right? Mm-hmm. They shot the guy in the behind, and they shot
for nothing. Wait a minute. Pause right there. They shot one of their own in the behind for nothing, and they went in there and they hugged the Chinese store owner. How is that love for your community? I would never walk outside. I don't care how much money I got and shoot somebody in the behind for leaning on my car. But that sounds like something he saw in like a cowboy movie. Like that sounds like something Ryan Coogler saw. You remember? Did y'all see the interview where he compared blues to grunge, and it didn't make no sense? But go on, fam. I'm sorry.
So my thing was this was like he presented them like in a writing sense as the bad guys who were coming back to prey on the community, right? But in the film, they're being shown as being like, we try to build something for our people. Like, no, you guys are thugs who kill people, who rob two bigger gangs, and you're going to bring that danger back down to your people in the bayou who can't defend against this, with the Klan having a whole Grand Dragon right here in the center. Like, it was the weirdest thing to me, but I like the visual, but I was angry at the fact that when I had to think about it, I'm like, are you serious? This is just stupid.
Well, to most people, if he's stealing from the Italian or the Irish or whatever, that makes it all okay because he stole from the white folk or whatever.
Well, see, I thought that. So that's the first. So I had three things, but that was one of the first things. I was like, okay, so they're supposed to be gangsters stealing from white folks, bringing back what they stole to the black folks. But it's like, you are a gangster and you're about to cause trouble in your hometown where your wife and all your family are. Like, are you stupid? So I thought that was I thought that it was cool that they were being presented as being like, you know, like bad guys that are doing bad things, and it's like, but then it was like.
But then they shot the man in front of the store. Like, that's the thing for me. That was just one-time violence against one of our own. Like that actually set you up that actually set you up against me, as that actually made me not like you. The man's just on your car or whatever. If you had shot somebody else from another group, maybe I'd feel different. But why are you having this? You just hugged this other man. I'm sorry, fam. It's just what.
So I thought they were going to pay that off in the movie by having him kill the vampires and then the clan in service of the community. But in reality, he just happened to kill both groups because they were bringing trouble to him, not as an altruistic helping out of the people around him to free them from like wooden nickels and having to work in the fields and stuff and not being able to get jobs.
Well,
and I was like, this.
But fam, let me just say that what y'all keep showing, what y'all keep talking about is how we could have had better storylines. So even if like I love movies where the person starts out to be a bad guy and ends up helping the people. Like they come back and they like, I ain't gonna get involved in that, and then they end up we could have brought them in as bad guys, and then they found a way to get help from the vampire, and then we're not gonna make all of y'all vampires, just us be vampires, and and I see y'all got these wooden nickels, this stuff ain't right, and we take that against systemic racism. We use the vampires as a ploy and all that kind of, like there was so many areas to go and he didn't go nowhere. But go on, fam. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to keep interrupting.
Like, he literally could have had the vampires, once they bit the clan's nephew, go get the clan and have the clan come back as vampires. And I was like, I guess I don't know, that was dumb that he didn't do that.
Oh no, or just kill the clan. Vampires are strong. You gotta just get rid of them. Vampires are strong. You gotta just get rid of the clan. Like you gotta just get rid of them. Yeah, and the clan. But see, the vampires are strong. We need your help. We got some meat for you. You know, whatever. Like it's so many ways to go with it.
Exactly. But my next thing was that I was annoyed at the fact that the only righteous character in there was the Nigerian actress, and I was like, everyone else had some type of, even the Octoroon lady had some type of bad backstory where she was cheating and being unfaithful to her family. Mm-hmm. And I was like, the only good character in here is the root worker who doesn't see a problem with her competition being the one who's being given money by the government to keep her community out of her services. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's weird to me, that this lady is like so in tune with the hate and the ain't and all this other stuff, but she don't see that the lady who she's cooking food with is her oppressor. Like, I didn't understand that part either. Like, I liked some bits and I didn't like others. That was my second point, was like the only good righteous character was the Nigerian lady, because the other lady was Mary, who was messing with Preacher Boy.
And she just had to be over there, didn't she? She just had to be over there. Is that you, Mary?
Yeah. Right? I was like, is this some type of subconscious thing to him, that he sees us as lesser, and that the only good person around has to be from a different like group and lineage? Like that's why you put her in that character. But and my last thing was that I thought it was weird that in the beginning of the movie they paid homage to I don't want to say paid homage, but they acknowledged the part of our ancestry that is the white Europeans that owned our ancestors, who had no autonomy over their body, and that we are mixed with those slave masters. But then no one in the club, no one in the juke joint was having white ancestors, even though they had Chinese and grass skirt Nigerians, and I did not.
They didn't have no white folk.
I did not like the fact that they pulled and said that what was the Delroy's character was like, we brought this from Africa, and it's like no one in Africa sounded like this. The blues is a completely our creation, and he's given one of the only things that we exported to the world out of our ethnicity to another group for no reason.
Good point, fam.
Thing that pulled me right out of that music. I was like, okay, the time you're seeing the ancestors in the future and in the past, and then it's like you bringing up these random people who have some weird stuff that we don't practice today. And it's like you're giving one of the best things that we export to around the world, that everyone loves about our culture, that, even when they show hate to us, they can't help but say like, no, this is amazing out of the American experiment. And you just gave it away to some random group, because it's not even like all of us not even like all the slaves even came from that one specific part of West Africa. So it was weird.
Yeah,
to
well,
me
you
that
know, they
happened.
find a way. They find a way in all these movies to make Africa son us, like to make us. We're nothing without Africa. We got everything. We didn't know what a drum was. Hey, Europeans know what drums are, child. We didn't know what a drum was. We had to get we haven't been here all this time building a culture ourselves. We have to get it all the way back from there. Yeah, it's disrespectful. And and Ryan, I feel like Ryan Coogler and everybody in the movie disrespected us. Because somebody had to just write that's not even a natural dialogue. Somebody put that in to just because I feel like Pan-Africanism is a religion. I don't feel like it's some kind of ideology.
Yeah.
You worship at the altar of Mama Africa. And so somebody threw that line in. That's not even a natural line. We got that from Africa. That's not even just not even something for somebody to say in that period of time. We brought that with us from Africa blues. Like, what nobody just like whatever. Like, what nobody doing no African traditional dance. They were doing the blues. Nobody would say we got that from Africa. Nobody would say that. But I'll let you finish up, fam.
Well, my last point was that was a weird forced piece of dialogue right there, and my last little bit is that I actually during the movie tweeted out on my account that I recognized the Rocky Road from Dublin, and everybody was looking at me weird in the theater because I recognized the song, and it was like it was just funny because like I heard that song before and I recognized the lyrics and everything, and I felt that it was like that was a funny thing that the vampire was turning back to his ancestors, and he was like. He wants to feel the same. He wants to feel the same magic again, and I felt like that kind of humanized the vampire, but he was still a demonic spirit that was bringing evil into the community, and that the gangsters were only defending their pig that they were leading to slaughter. Like the gangsters were trying to take money from the community, the vampire was trying to take blood from the community, and the clan was trying to take land from the community. And it was just like you got three devils on top of you, and nobody is understanding that all three of these devils have no allegiance to you. They're just all arguing over who gets to lead you to slaughter first.
Ooh.
And it was just like a thing that hit me, but that's it. That's all I think.
Oh, appreciate you, fam. Appreciate your take. I appreciate you. You have a good one, all right? Oh my God. And that would have been something like if having to choose which devil do I pick. Right? Like which devil do I choose? That would have had to been something for us. Like we got a lot of devils. Which one of these devils? We got the KKK. We got the vampires over here looking at us like they thirsty, and we got these other people over here who are crooks and con artists, and they can't fight neither one of these groups. Like that should have been something that the community had to come together and figure out. Like that would have been great. But anyway, going to my next caller, 443. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello.
Hey, 443. What's going on? Yep.
Hey, how are you? Oh,
pretty good.
Thank you for this conversation. Okay, one of the things I think everybody here is making some very good points. You are really analyzing this to analyze montage, and that is one perspective. However, the biggest piece here, okay, which was the relationship of the people and the conscious power that these people had, Preacher Boy or him, the guitar, the sound, the vibration that was able to create a quantum entanglement through time and space. The actual power of our people. That's what they were referring to when they showed all these different people coming from Africa is the spiritual power that these people had, and we still have. When you're talking about being empowered, understanding how to manipulate reality, literally. Okay, this is a huge part of what they were discussing. The vampire, okay, his whole thing, he says, I came to take you away, talking about Preacher Boy, because I want to steal your power so that he is able to quantumly entangle into different dimensional space. Okay? That was a very, very interesting...
He didn't say nothing about different dimensional space.
He didn't say it outright, but that's what was being referred to by why he came for Preacher Boy, because the thing is of his spiritual power. The spiritual power meaning that he had the ability to use sound through that guitar. Okay? And this is something that is, a part of what is being discussed in quantum physics right now. Right?
But we didn't get. Hold on, fam. I gotta pause you. Because I've read Brian Greene and all that stuff. there was no quantum physics in this movie. Like, now let me just show you. We have a lot of movies. There are a lot of movies that have quantum physics, and they have people going into wormholes and different realities. And the writer has to write that. What everybody has done. Listen, I have 3 different people who've given me 3 different versions of this movie, and you talking about quantum physics, and I don't even think Brian Coogler knows math. He didn't give us that. You have to write that in there, though. That's not something that, like, the history person sees history. The person who knows the root work believes in the root work. You probably read a little quantum mechanics, and and so you on the physics side of the game. Like, no, he has to write it, and what you're showing is that nobody wrote it. So what everybody's doing is putting their projection on top of it, because there was nothing there. There was a void that should have been filled with good writing.
This is not my, Dr. Cornell, this is not my projection. That it is understanding metaphysics, okay? And what was presented. Now, to your point, and I'm going to make your point for you, he left out a lot of things that, for instance, the Indians, the Choctaw Indians, and they were the vampire hunters. Well, what was their backstory? Where'd they go? They showed up a little bit, and then they went away.
And they were great actors. They looked like they were great actors. They showed up and never was seen again.
Okay, they were chasing this vampire for what reason and why?
And they looked like they knew what they were doing too. They looked like they knew what they were doing.
Yes, they knew what they were, because what would have been great is if the Indians turned around and came back during the attack.
Yep.
Okay, because they were hunting this person. They're hunting this vampire, right? So yeah, to the point that you made, this was kind of written in the genre of Lovecraft Country. Okay, even though I think Lovecraft Country is a much better written series than what we have here, okay? He put, to another caller's point, he was all over the place, for sure. But there were some larger elements that I haven't seen. I must admit, I haven't seen until Lovecraft Country comes around and talking about many of the mythology that we carry with us from Africa, okay?
Hold on. And somebody said it's a 2-hour movie. You can do a lot in 2 hours. Like, we have great movies that happen in 2 hours. You don't understand. Did you watch this movie? They spent an hour trying to start the juke joint. We didn't see vampires but 15 minutes. This was a misuse of the 2 hours, people. Go ahead, fam. I'm sorry. Now I gotta go to another call.
No, but you're absolutely, you're making some great points. Okay, because when I saw some of your shorts that you had on YouTube, I said, "Oh my God, I have to watch the next show that you had, right? Because you set this on fire." And there are a lot of points that were being made. However, it was the structure of it was disjointed. Okay, visually, was it a good movie? I think so. Visually. Some of the other elements, for instance, one of the elements I wanted to point out to certain people, that fiat cash, the plantation money. That was very interesting to show how disenfranchised a sharecropper really was, because they could only spend those wooden nickels and that fake money on the plantation.
I agree. Now do something with it. Now, you know what that should have pushed him to do? That should have pushed him to say, maybe we got to do something with these vampires. We got people over here looking wooden nickels. We ain't never gonna make no money. And here the Klan come. And then the Klan should have rolled up, and they were like, we're gonna have to get in bed. These people ain't got no money, and the vampires is here, the Klan is here. Pick your poison. And the vampire smile, and then they cut a deal. And now we in bed with some real evil. And
for me, I was just kind of like, okay.
And all of a sudden he's G.I. Joe. Now all of a sudden you got the war machine gun. Like, man, come on. What kind of intro to screenwriting stuff is this? And nobody want to say it. Like, we got to get honest about people. No, you got to have an honest conversation. And even if or at least let me have it. Don't shout me down. No, not you, fam.
I would say this, but here's the good part. We are having a conversation. And it definitely sparked a conversation, and maybe this leads somewhere, okay? And to your point, okay, what happened to all these other little different elements that they showed and discussed? As an example, when they're riding in the car and the Delta Slim is talking about his friend who was lynched, castrated, et cetera, that was huge thing. Okay, when you're talking about doing Jim Crow.
No, not if you don't make me feel it. Let me just say something. It's not huge for you to tell me that happened during that era. I know that. What is huge is if you create a narrative and a storyline and characters that make me feel it. And you create that stuff to let's make some white folk feel it too. Make people like that's what you can do through good storytelling. Not just say my friend got lynched and that was my friend. I don't know your friend. Like you have to create a storyline that makes me care and makes me be invested in characters. That's what good movie making does. And don't just run away now and say, oh, it's just a vampire movie. No, it can't be a deep thing with the lynchings and no, it's just a vampire movie. Either it's deep and it's a psychological thriller with quantum physics or it's just a vampire movie. It can't be just, don't do that. Go on, fam. I'm sorry. I'm going to let you finish up now. I got to move on.
And I'm not disagreeing with you at all. It's just a matter of, okay, for me, one of your requirements was to say what I liked about it. Again, me being a person who is into metaphysics, okay, and having that understanding and what they really were showing, okay, when you're talking about information on film that has impact, all right, because this is something that I think we all should be, or at least investigating as to how the elements on Earth, like sound,
okay, all right,
reality.
All right, I appreciate you.
But that's something else. That's me.
I appreciate you. You have a good day. All right, sir. I appreciate you.
You do. All right.
Have a good one. And let me just say something. And this is just what I feel. I feel like everybody is seeing this movie through the lens of what they like. Whether it's history, whether it's whatever, you're seeing it through your particular lens. And that means that the writing wasn't good enough for you to see it how the writer wanted you to see it. The writer should want you to have some kind of takeaway. And that didn't happen here because it's inferior writing and inferior filmmaking. I want to, first of all, before I go any further, check out the new episode of Critical Mass on the ADOS Advocacy Foundation website. Please check that out. I pinned the link there. Also, if you are a member of ADOS Advocacy Foundation, we sent out, the ADOS Research Institute sent out a survey that they're doing. So please check your messages, check your spam, ADOS Research Institute, and please complete that survey and send it back. It's not long. Just complete it for us. Get it back to us. We would appreciate it. Okay, my commercial over with. Now, let me go back to fight. No, I'm just playing. 334, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
This is Cedric from Alabama. Can you hear me?
What's going on, Cedric? I can hear you.
Okay. Well, I'm sorry. I just got through stuff in my mouth with pound cake. He should have thrown that in there.
See, diabetes. No, I'm just playing with you.
So deep, he had pound cake in there. So, initially, I was excited. I support Ryan Coop. I support Michael B. Jordan. But I wanted to see the movie, and I did not enjoy that movie. It was the only thing great about this movie, the acting, the characters, the way he started off writing them, it was great, and the acting was great. It just didn't lead nowhere. He was just throwing random stuff in there, like instead of somebody saying, "Oh my God," they'll say, "Oh my ancestors," and oh, he said ancestors. It's deep. It's deep. And
anytime we your ancestors, we say it's deep. It's deep.
They are projecting. If I go watch Jurassic Park, they have anthropologists in there explaining that. I don't have to be real versed in archaeology,
metaphysics,
Jurassic Park,
quantum mechanics,
in a way that a
astrology,
can enjoy and get it. This movie, everyone's coming and, oh, you just don't understand voodoo. Well, then it wasn't. The plot and the story arc isn't written well if the layman audience can't come in and understand it. And this movie was just disappointing. Everything that was building, that you was anticipating, the thing I enjoyed most about this movie was the club. I wanted them to have, to make a profit. That was the most exciting thing about the movie, and that went nowhere. It was just throw some vampires in there, everybody.
I'm sorry. Throw some vampires in there. Go ahead, fam. I'm sorry. Yeah, for 15 minutes. For 15 minutes. So you can call it a vampire movie.
Yeah, it was just like the only thing they built was they were trying to run a successful club. And it's like, well, it was crazy. But I'm gonna get off here. And we have to stop blowing smoke up people's like I support him. But if we keep lying about what's good and how awesome things are, then we're never going to get better. We got to be critical. We need to tell the truth about it.
Yeah, we don't like to tell the truth and shame the devil.
I can name 20 iconic scenes from Friday, I can name 20 iconic lines. I can't give you a line.
No, and I don't even need an iconic line. I just need I need like a fun movie just gives you a line that you might remember for the next month. And maybe you don't, and that's not a great movie. They talking about this like it's a great movie. A fun movie would at least give you something that you remember for a little while. Going to 310, what's up? You still there, 310?
Hey, this Tone Talks.
Yeah. What's up, Tone?
So, I'm listening to your calls, and I was, me and you have different approaches. Again, like I said on the show, I did, and this is how I was going to do a show, but I talked to the guy in the bathroom, he was asleep in the middle. And he likes a black man make a movie. Talked to one of our people that support us, and her husband went to sleep in the middle of the movie. Person I was with almost went to sleep in the middle of the movie. What I'm hearing people talk about is a thing that wasn't on the screen to make the movie good. When is the last time you went to a restaurant, you started eating the food, and you said, you know what would be good is if they put paprika in here, and then you went back to the kitchen and put the paprika in. They came back, ate the food, and said that was a great thing. You never did that before. And what's happening here is people are recreating the movie in the context of what they wish would have happened in the movie to make the movie better because the movie wasn't that good. Now people would say, well, it's talking about Oscars. They don't have no movies. What other movie came out that you've been to in the theaters in the last 6 months? So they're going to have 3 movies that you never heard of in this movie, and that's going to be the Oscars. That don't mean that it's an Oscar film. It just means that they're trying to survive. This theater thing is dying. And Egyptians, I don't know if many of you guys understand, but if you go watch the history yourself, you look at the history of what they did with movies. It happened with the Jewish people. It happened with several European groups. They used theaters to normalize themselves. Well, right now, it is the Chinese turn. They bought AMC. They made that Meg movie. Go watch the Meg movie part 2, and you'll see this play up of Chinese vigor and strength and honor. They right in the middle of this movie. Warner Brothers had a deal to make Chinese language film back in, I think 4 or 5 years ago. You don't backdrop. What you have to judge a film on is all the things he said. But you also have to judge it on what was on the screen. You can't tell me what... The man earlier started talking about science and metaphysics, whatever he wants to talk about. He told us horrific reasons that the movie would have been just god-awful.
He rewrote it.
I liked it. And I think what is happening here is black folks don't know how to like or what to like. And what's happening is you trying to find a middle ground because ain't no ground to stand on. Once they tell you that the Chinese saw us as contamination, the professor told us that, I shared it on my Twitter. You cannot like a movie and respect yourself that shows you them as allies. That has to be the sole reason that you hate this movie. I gotta put something in your own heart for you to have some stand up. Again, let me say it again to make it clear. Movie is fabulous. It isn't this muggled movie, whatever.
Muggled. This had muggled.
But they put in there that the Chinese were our allies, but we know that they saw us as a contamination. And when Yvette was talking earlier, I want to make sure that is the language that was used in lawsuits. I don't care about individual people who try to tell me about their grandfather. The litigation included language where they decided that they didn't want to be contaminated with black and wanted to be part of whiteness and didn't want to be put over there with us. But then the juke joint got them dancing in the juke joint. And y'all still think the movie is good. Some people say, well, it's not history. It's a vampire film. Well, you tell me why the LA Times opinion piece is claiming it to be history. Movies like this cause the kind of danger that leads to your kids not having opportunity. You not know that. What I'm saying to you is that tariffs are upon us, the reality of changes are upon us, and you're not ready for the moment. Again, when you get something done at the kitchen, when you pay at the diner and you pay your money, you don't go in the back and ask,
or say what it would taste like if you went to the store across the street and got a tomato. You say, diner, I paid you this money. I want this thing in the picture. And that's not what Ryan Coogler delivered. For me, in a lot of ways, and I'm not going to keep you long, the whole context of this movie that people are anchoring on is identity. Well, the movie didn't deliver that either. It just didn't deliver identity. What do I mean? So you would need black people to own the grocery store in the movie to at least have the identity of it. Well, he was showing that Chinese grocers own the store. I don't need him to show that to me. But if you're going to show it to me, make sure you show that they thought we were contamination. Now, what's happening now is that we got a movie where the main black enterprise was a slaughterhouse juke joint that sold stolen liquor, while the Chinese owned all the fish and the signs and brought it over to the juke joint because we weren't real business people. And you still loved the movie. There was no redeeming quality in the movie. Not the acting, not the direction, no, not the cinematography. Now, in the end, they might give it an Oscar because they need the movie to survive so they can keep taking your $45. Black folks are subprime borrowers. Black folks are gambling and sports gambling. You don't think the people that make movies don't know how to make a movie that plays on all of your shortcomings? I just, I don't even know where we're at now where I can tell you, forget the movie for a second, that, hey, you think I could tell a Jewish person that they got a film over there, hold on a sec, where the Germans are friends with you? Or you comparing the Chinese? I'm comparing people that thought of us as contamination to people that should not be portrayed as allies. You need to learn how to respect yourself for us to move forward. And if you don't, see you on the other side. Again, check my Substack out. I just started. Thanks to you, guys.
Appreciate you. Appreciate you. All right, Tom. Appreciate you. Yeah. I mean, yeah. Appreciate you. Yeah. We'll keep it going. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if we don't know what the metric is for judging a thing, I don't know. 404, what's your name? 4049. 4049, because I got a couple of 404s. 40491. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Your good friend Rodney from Atlanta. What's up?
What's going on, Rodney? How you doing? You doing all right? You been hanging in? Okay, good.
I appreciate y'all so much because everybody's excited about Black Panther. It was an insult from the beautiful black bald-head warrior, but they knew that was the warrior that protected the homie king that sold us into slavery. So that was powerful, and only in the AR circles could we have a conversation that you should have been insulted. But Michael, Killmonger was the hero, not T'Challa. So I'm excited about this conversation. I'm actually excited about this movie, though, because the way I'm using it is telling my proteges and friends to go see it, and I just bring out, just that period piece that everybody's talking about, sharecropping, like the brothers from Maryland talked about, with, they couldn't even handle money with the wooden coins. So I'm using it as a conversation, especially with the proteges. I want to hear their viewpoint from the lens that they see it, and then I just go more to the advocacy work that we do and try to go from that part. So that's the way I'm using the conversation from the movie. I actually saw it over the weekend after coming from Emmett Park Festival. I went to AMC over there off of Memorial Drive. Nice new brand new theater, and I enjoyed that because I was excited about the conversation that we're having now and with our loved ones to bring them into more of the importance for reparations. I just kind of stay with that part. Another part I wanted to bring up too, another point, and thank you, Tone, for your insight from what's going on in California, because I know that, like you said, the Asians handle that and they invested in Hollywood, also the Nigerians. So even the Root Worker girl, she wasn't ADOS, nor was Delroy. He's a British actor. Just having those people always in the movie portraying us and they're not us. They didn't do a bad job, though. But the point is, why can't we have Negro ADOS actors? Why does the black Brits always got to have, or we have to share that space? 1,000 people in Hollywood could have had that role and been just as effective. And I'm bringing up Delroy in particular. They said in some of the interviews, him being a seasoned actor, some things he did were spontaneous. So you're right, he could have put in, this came from Africa, and that was not in script like other things that he did, spontaneous. And then he just let it ride because of his, seniorship and his, his presence as an elder actor. So And thank you for the conversation.
No problem,
I'll
fam.
be briefly just land right there.
Okay. No, I appreciate you, fam. Thank you. I appreciate you for calling in. I'm going to go straight to another call. 336. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yvette, this is Felton. As I always do, I'm giving you a garden. You and Tom, glad to get Tom
Hey,
on the
Felton.
call, but I have to get in here. It's very necessary. This is my ballpark. My gosh, I'm super critical of it. If you want to see Pete Coogler, you have to start with his first film, and that's Fruitvale Station.
Mm-hmm.
A great film, amazing storytelling. He knows how to do that. I don't know what's happening.
He said, I don't know what's happening.
I do know. I was getting ready to say I know. I mean, it's a cost, and whatever that cost is, whatever Hollywood decides to do with the ADOS, the Black American depiction is something that is just perpetual exploitative. And how do you go from your peak at your beginning to this here? I don't know that part.
Well, did you hear him say he was $200,000 in debt until Creed?
Yeah, it was a credit card debt, and his girlfriend was supportive, and you know.
I mean, but wasn't that post Black Panther?
That was post. I know that was post Fruitvale, which should have been the ultimate trampoline.
Somebody to chat to him. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah, that part. So, just a couple of things about the film, because you covered the majority of, where it falters. The lack of a real depiction of black love bothers me. We had, without it having to be overly sensual or sexual with the Asian couple, an understanding of their love and adoration for one another, to the point that she was willing to kill everybody to get back with her husband and family. But when we have interaction that is supposed to be so intricate to the film's composition, with the baby that's passed and the unrequited love that exists between these two people, the hold you woman or whatever that is. I'm sorry about all of that. I'm something else. I'm not those things. But she and he expressed their love with some ravenous turn around, let me get it sex. The biracial young lady, or whatever the proper terminology would be used to describe her ethnicity at that point, they just make out on the floor, and this is, of course, after she's turned, but it's already understood that she's just wanting to do whatever she can do to get this guy back. There's nothing there. There's small moments you can create in the film, and there's not a turning around and taking your woman from the backside in that manner, in that space, while you're mourning the death of a child that we don't even get to know much about, except when he's dying and all of a sudden they reconnected. My gosh. I mean, it's more and more. So, to the more critical element, as a historian, I'm looking at this film and I'm like, why are they making this Asian couple so prominent in this film? And it's easily disruptible, very easy. From a percentage standpoint, you cannot make the exception the norm. You can't make the exception the norm. But for the purposes of my education to the youth, I recently played a clip of Fannie Lou Hamer when she was testifying, and her testifying was interrupted by Lyndon B. Johnson because there was we can't let this be broadcast. We let everybody else talk, but this woman that is from Mississippi, that is Mississippi, cannot be allowed to talk about what's going on there to the nation. And I asked one of my friends who supported this film immensely, I said, if you look at that clip that I just sent you and Fannie Lou Hamer, and you look real close with a microscope, as close as you can, you still won't see anybody of Asian descent supporting her. So the loose and fast playing we're doing with history has got to stop, and we got to call it out. Somebody mentioned Lovecraft Country, one of the most egregious loose and fast playing with history efforts I've ever witnessed. They played with Emmett Till's lynching, and that
messy series that I had to hate watch because I had to be critical of it. They played with Emmett Till's lynching. They played with the Tulsa Massacre. And these things cannot continue to be allowed. But we know that the beacon is bright, and so much can be gifted upon you if you go and forsake us. The exploitation is perpetual.
Yeah, and you do a people of color thing. You just include everybody. This movie didn't need everybody. Like, I actually kind of liked the Native Americans in the beginning because they knew what they were doing. I wanted to see them show back up because they were professionals. But like this movie, we don't have to. Why every time we make a movie, why does it have to be a people of color movie? Like, everybody can make a show about them. All of our movies have to be. You have to. It's everybody has to shoehorn into what we do, even if it's apparent that it's ahistorical for us to bring you in here. You were not here. You were not supporting Fannie Lou. You were not in the streets because you wasn't doing none of that. So why do we have you in these movies? Why? Because everybody's trying to rewrite history. So I appreciate you, fam. Thank you so much for calling in.
All the time. Take care.
Appreciate you. And somebody said, what was wrong with the way that they made love at the beginning? Somebody called to my show last night and said that's back in the day, that's how white men, it wasn't like as necessarily like, that was how white men did ADOS women because they didn't want to look them in the face. And I just, we could have had some more tenderness in that moment, especially since they had been apart so long and there was still affection there. But again, hey, that's not what they wanted to do. Somebody mentioned in the chat that Spike Lee liked it too. And I'm just like, listen, if y'all don't understand by now, there's an agreement between the Negro chattering class. Those who have money are going to help those who have money get more money. That talented tent, it ain't even really a talented tent, half of them ain't but that talented or that top little, people who got a piece of money, they support each other at all costs. Y'all remember we went through and they was DMing each other, blue checks was DMing each other about us, and that was the Negro chattering class. It doesn't matter whether it's good or not. These people are going to support their people, and we're not their people. It's just that simple. I'm going to go to a couple more callers. I'm going to 404. What's going on?
Hey, Yvette. You know what? Tone pretty much set it up. And I was just about to talk about Spike Lee and Dr. Tia Son Johnson and all these people that are really seem to be supportive. And I'm so disappointed in them in terms of, Spike has a unique history of being very critical. How is he critical of Tyler Perry and not this movie? Riddle me that, Batman. Okay, so you took the words out my mouth. You took the words right out of my mouth. And the thing about it is that what Tyler Perry exposed in his success was how starved our community is for attention. In terms of just having something with our face in it. And the big issue that I had with this movie, I pulled up over here in North DeKalb this weekend to come see this, and I literally texted somebody from the theater saying, man, this is the ultimate black man don't mess with a white woman movie. Then I came back a few minutes later. Now this is the ultimate black woman don't mess with a brother movie because he'll get you killed. Then it just kept going. Now, I will say that the movie is interesting, but it's only interesting because it keeps setting you up. It keeps jacking you up, and then it plays with you. It's like it comically. I think somebody said it was like a Chat GPT movie or something like that. And I tend to see it like that because I'm old enough to know a lot of scenes from like old Clint Eastwood movies, where at the end of the Clint Eastwood movie he would smoke a cigarette for the guy he just killed, and then he let the guy smoke on it and all this stuff. And now I got Michael B. Jordan going through that, but he want to play with the baby. I mean, the crazy symbolism in this movie is ridiculous. And the thing that what Tone was talking about, that's what I was thinking about in terms of, what, Yvette? It plays into us needing reparations, not just financially, but culturally. We need reparations in terms of, our ability to critically think. When I say that, I mean, our ability to allow other people to critically think. You don't like if you get mad at somebody who has an opposing opinion, like you are too much of a child for me. Like, these are children. Remember what I said the other day about Shannon Sharp about these second generation children? Like, they're having their second childhood.
if you get emotional and erratic about a movie, you have some type of emotional problem that you have to, if you can't afford therapy, I understand that, you're going to have to buy some books. Like, because that's not normal to behave that way. It felt like Obama again, or even Kamala again.
These people are not our friends, man. When I was watching this movie, I thought about Malcolm X when he said some of these brothers did be put up against the wall and shot. I mean, I went to the movie because I'd heard something about Ryan had gotten some kind of a deal where he got a chance to own the movie. I wanted to root for him because even though I didn't like all the Black Panther, he got out there. But that second Black Panther, just like with this movie with the Asians, I was wondering what was the Mexicans doing in the second one. I don't understand that.
Because they demand, you saw them crying about not being in this one. You saw, you don't get representation in our history. Like, what are we talking about? If you were there, you would have got, but you weren't. Like, we don't have to just put you in a movie to put you in a movie, but that's what it is. We got to put the Mexicans, we got to put the Asians, we got to put the Native Americans, we got to put the, that doesn't happen. But the Jewish community can go create Inglorious Bastards and all kind of just tell their whole story by themselves, but not us. So go ahead, fam. I'm sorry.
This was that Jay Barnes creativity. This was hip hop destroying the image of, and I don't want to just play on Black respectability, but this thing looks like it attacks Black culture. Like every time, look, there was nothing revolutionary about this brother, about the movie, about his creativity. There was nothing revolutionary or redeeming about the characters at all. I'm talking about to our benefit. So it really let me down. And why I'm so disappointed is I'm hearing people such as a Spike Lee. I was on the thing, I was watching Dr. Johnson on another thing panel, and all the brothers over there, they liked the movie.
Oh, everybody.
And I realized.
They in a group chat. These Negroes, you can't convince me these Negroes ain't in a group chat where they just decide we're going to support each other. We're going to make money off, but you can't say it's bad. We all got to be on the same accord.
Yeah. Now, I'm not surprised.
White people quiet.
The pimp whose name shall not be called. I'm not surprised that he do it. I'm not surprised that he does it. But I'm shocked when I see a Spike and other, academics praise this. And I'm trying to figure, what do they like about it? Then I start looking at myself. It makes it look like he kind of scatterbrained all over the place with the movie. Every chance he had to redeem a character or to redeem a scene, he wouldn't do it. He made a joke out of it. It's almost like he just teased and toiled with American Black folks the whole
well, and part of the thing is he knows he doesn't have to create a good movie. If you're selling to this community, the sad part about it is people believe I don't have to give them the best product, right? I don't have to do that. Right, I don't have to sit down and try to give them the best writing, and I'm going to have all the influencers, all the writers, all the podcasts. Everybody is going to be on the same accord. I think they got a bunch of different little group chats where they plan, and this is how we're going to convince the rest of the Negro masses to support this. Right, I don't believe that any of this is honesty. Right, I just don't believe it. I believe that these people manipulate the masses of ADOS people into what is hot. Or what is phenomenal, and that spreads around the group chat. We got to support Ryan or whatever, as opposed to Ryan has to respect his own community enough to give us a good product for the $30 we spent to be in there. And I'll let you finish up, fam.
Let's talk about that. How do you go from a food bell station to Sinners? $90 million budget. This dude, I believe these guys would do anything for $1, and somebody else wrote this movie and just made him do it. It's just that bad.
I don't think so. It's scattered enough. No, the scatteredness makes me think that might be him. It's too scattered. It's too scattered. Like ChatGPT, I don't even think ChatGPT wrote it. ChatGPT wouldn't give you nothing that's scattered.
But it's kind of like he write part of the movie and then he hold a microphone out to the crowd and let you rhyme your little verse.
Yeah, but wait a minute. And that's what all the little artists do now is just put the microphone out there for you. I ain't come here to sing and hear myself sing. You better put that in front of your mouth. But that's what we all listen to and accept. So I gotta get out of here, fam, and try to get a couple more. But I appreciate you.
All right. That's it.
You have a good one.
Bye.
All right. Going now to a 954. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? Yeah, I can hear you fine, fam.
Hey,
What's
man,
going
can
on?
you hear me?
I hear you.
All right, I'm going to talk fast. I'm going to talk fast. I wasn't going to call in tonight. But
Okay.
I'm going to call in and respond to some of these earlier phone calls
Okay.
because people are saying the wrong things. I'm going to make 3 points. Now, earlier in the show, what you were describing is expectations and people meeting expectations. So everyone keep that in mind. Expectations and meeting expectations. Now, the earlier caller, I believe her name is Mary, she talked about the hoodoo lady. Now, I understand why black women like that character because she is a full-figured woman who is in a romantic relationship with Michael B. Jordan, who is a good-looking man. I get it. However, you cannot put context onto that character that does not exist. That was not a hoodoo woman. That was Nigerian spirituality masquerading as hoodoo black American ADOS spirituality in the deep south of Mississippi in the 1930s.
Oh.
You cannot just give that woman context that does not exist. It doesn't make sense for a hoodoo woman in 1930s Mississippi Bible Belt to not use Psalms, to not call on Jesus.
That's true.
To not praise the Lord.
That's true.
And
because even hold on, fam. Let me pause right.
More connections to Nigeria.
Hold on one second. Let me pause right there and just say what you were saying. That's absolutely true. Like even when you, I have old people in my family, so I've known of root workers and seen them. They part of what they do is give you something out of the Bible to read along with what they're doing. But go on, fam. I didn't think about that.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense for her to pray using Nigerian, Yoruba, or Ifa in the 1930s Bible Belt, Mississippi. You would use the Bible. You would use the Bible as a context for your hoodoo spirituality to do what you were doing. That's just the truth. So you cannot say that woman is a hoodoo woman. That was Nigerian masquerading as hoodoo and whatever it was with Ryan's misunderstanding of hoodoo. Now, the second thing I want to talk about is the so-called metaphysics that this guy was talking about. That was not metaphysics. I want people to understand, know when you are being manipulated. Know when you're being manipulated. Jay-Z and Beyonce could not make Afrobeats happen. That Tyler girl, she can't make it happen. She can't make it happen. and now you got Ryan taking blues and connecting it directly to Africa. They are trying to get us to buy into this Afrobeats West African entertainment vertical that's not happening. I mean, I'm reading a comic book right now, the X-Men comic book with Storm, and they related her entire magic system to Nigeria. She's from Kenya. It's like the powers that be are trying so hard to get ADOS to make this Afrobeats thing happen. You cannot take blues and connect it to Africa without explaining how West Africans sold us into slavery, thus creating the blues that we have because of us being sold into slavery. Like the blues is for a reason. But like the someone is trying to make us buy into this whole Afrobeat stuff. And as Tone said, the Chinese have bought movie theaters and they're trying to get us to buy into this Chinese whatever that they're trying to create. And that was my second point. And the third point I want to make, and this is very important. The earlier guy who called in, he said that the way that people are saying that we can't criticize this movie is similar to how they say we can't criticize Kamala or Barack. Now that's part one of what he said. The second part that he left out or didn't say is that the same way that everybody is providing context for this movie and closing the gaps and creating a narrative for this movie that didn't exist is the same way that people protected Barack Obama when he was in office. Oh, Barack's going to hook us up. Oh, you just got to wait. Barack's going to fire something. Oh, Barack can't say that he's going to help black people. He'll lose his office. Just wait. No. What did Barack say? What did Barack say?
Did he say any of that? He's a gangster. How? Well, he loves us.
That didn't exist. If this politician is telling you to go that you are garbage, then he's saying that you are garbage. You cannot create an expectation. Like how you were saying that if you show me a cake in Act 1, you should be eating the cake by Act 3. Mm-hmm. If you show me X, Y, and Z in Act 1, then you need to make ABC happen by Act 3. If you are showing me a politician who's saying ABC in Act 1, then I need to see this politician do whatever in Act 3. Like these same Pan-Africans who are providing all this cover for this movie are the same people who told us that Barack was going to hook us up. The same people.
Whew.
So I just want people to understand, like, yes, this is a movie. I understand that. But you have to understand expectations, meeting expectations, and you have to understand your own history. I don't care what Ryan Coogler's own family is. You based your movie in 1930 Mississippi. You put your movie in 1930s Jim Crow, Mississippi. Your individual family is irrelevant. Your movie should have been grounded in 1930 Mississippi, and your movie should pay off what you promised. The same way that all these politicians come running to us for votes, they need to pay off what they promised in Act 1. And that's all I want to say. So good night to all of y'all.
Appreciate it, fam. And listen, everybody needs to understand, there's only one group standing in the gap for you. It's only like, you only gonna get this kind of commentary on you only gonna get this in a ADOS conversation. It ain't gonna even happen with Flex's bank account, because that's gonna, the pimple shall not be known. He's gonna fold. He's probably went on the phone to Coogler. Hey, get me through to Coogler. I want him to say FBI. Yes, he's always going to fold. These are all people who live in gated communities and just want to use this kind of thing and this lineage for marketing. And when it comes down to it, when it comes down to somebody famous or somebody powerful, they're always going to fold. The only people standing in the breach is ADOS. ADOS in terms of a group, ADOS in terms of me, ADOS in terms of Antonio, ADOS in terms of ADOS Advocacy Foundation, ADOS Research Institute, ADOS Empowerment Project. Ain't nobody else facing these forces. Notice, I want y'all to watch how quickly people who say they stand 10 toes down with what we talking about won't call any of this stuff out. None of it. I just want you to pay attention to that. I'm going now to probably my last call. I'm going to 407. 407, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, is this me?
Yep, that's you.
Okay, I appreciate you. Okay, so I love you from afar dearly, sister.
Thank you.
I appreciate the work that you do. I've been following you, just keeping up for probably about like 6 years or whatever. You
Thank
know what I'm
you.
saying? Like, I actually found you through Hire Me, straight up. So a long time ago, but and then, you know, just finding more about the movement. I'm from Detroit, Michigan.
Okay.
I'm here in Denver, Colorado. And like, so, yeah. I'm going to try to just like rattle it off. I had a sparring session this morning for sure. So you the champ. I just got like perspective. I want to share. Tom Cruise and Ben Stiller, you know, like, I don't care about them, but they like, you know, gave whatever props at a time where I felt like the movie was getting a lot of backlash. I feel like I saw a clip of a Mexican podcast where they like, they stole this from dusk till dawn. You know, so I feel like the next day, you know, so I'm just now really getting with the Patreon, but I've been seeing the clips on YouTube too. You know, what I'm saying, like the short clips. With the color purple, I hadn't thought about that, you know, and I remember that. You know what I'm saying? I'm 42 years old, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I remember that. But also, it's just like, I think the Chinese, like, in the movie, maybe might not have been such of an accurate portrayal, you know what I'm saying? Because there's definitely clips going around right now how they was actually talking. And also, but like, you know, whether it's Arabs, whether it's Indians, whether it's Chinese or whatever, at some point they started owning stores in black neighborhoods. You know what I'm saying? Somewhere, maybe not Mississippi or whatever, but I don't know, like where I'm from, you know, like the Muslim community, like, you know, Arabs or Chaldeans or whatever, you know what I'm saying? Like, and some of my people was like, you know, party store owners, what we used to call them back in the day. And I grew up in those. And so it kind of portrayed like something today, almost like even the portrayal of her, like, I'm going to save my child and betray all of you, all of y'all in here, you know what I'm saying? Like over that, which was interesting. You know what I'm saying? I feel like some of it was like, just like art. I feel like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I ain't trying to take up for nothing about it, but like also Tyler Perry came up and I'm like, well, I don't know. I feel like I'm more impacted by Sinners. I feel like than like anything I know from Tyler Perry, going back to just like, you know, I don't know, seeing aunties or something, like watch it, or cousins, you know what I'm saying, watch it in the plays and stuff like that. Something about who needs to, somebody needs to be shot. It was like, it was just a comment on the collar, but like, I'm also like Marine, 2-time war vet, Iraq, you know what I'm saying? So I'm like, who needs to, I wasn't clear, like, who needs to be shot. That was just like, that just came from, you know, that's an aside. But also the through line to the characters, I think is like, it's just a fact that they were all sinners at whatever point that you made them, because it was jumpy. You know what I'm saying? And to be honest, I had a particular experience with seeing the movie. My girlfriend had to go sit by the door because we were alarmed by like an individual that came in with a bag, and so I felt like I had to sit close to the person in the bag, and at least like I got to be close to be able to do something about it, because just like I'm, you know, I don't know, PTSD or whatever, I'm triggered like that. So, but you know, it's like it was deep in that way, and it wasn't Rosewood. They was gangsters. That's why they was sinners. That's why he shot the boy in the ass. You know what I'm saying? Oh, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't want to cuss on the YouTube. But that's why he shot him, you know, in the butt, because he a gangster. He a sinner. Homegirl, she did a great job. The acting was great. You know, however we feel about the stories and all of that, like I feel all the perspectives. But Michael B. Jordan and Ryan Coogler, they both ate off too, right? Like they ate off. So like we supposed to critique all the, you know, all of the things, including art. We ain't looking to them as like leaders. Like I ain't about to look at Ryan Coogler for like I listen to your show for that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so that's entertainment. But I thought they did it justice as a people. I don't think it was all accurately correct. And I'm done. I've been talking for a while. I wrote down some points, so I was trying to stick to them. I appreciate you.
I appreciate you, fam. I appreciate you. Have a good one. Going to my last call, 445. Saw you in the chat. 445, what's going on?
Hello?
What's going on, 445?
Hey, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure. I am so happy that you took my call. I was like, please.
I saw you. I wasn't.
Yes. So let me preface this by saying I didn't see the movie, but I'm not gonna lie, I didn't see the movie because I knew it was gonna be hard. The first thing that let me know this movie was terrible is that people were treating the movie like it was an open-ended question. If 10 people walk into a movie theater and each 10 person walks out having seen a different movie, then the people who wrote the movie were not good at crafting the story.
That's what I'm
saying. That is not how a good movie. That is literally not how a good movie is made, Yvette.
I know. I be trying to tell him.
I was so lost because I'm looking on Twitter, Yvette, and one group of people are saying, yeah, the movie showed the Asians was down with us. And then another group of people are saying the movie was an allegory for how Asians sell us out. I'm like,
that's
enemies.
I heard all variations of that.
I heard every manner of... Same thing with the character. Was she biracial? Was she white? If she was white passing, some people said she was
she was an octoroon. At one point, she did say. But at one point, she did say her granddaddy was black.
She's showing that we come in light and dark and all types of... I'm like, what? Yvette, what movie? It was like 10, 20, 30,000 different interpretations of one movie. You know what that means? It was poorly written.
Yep.
It was a bad movie.
Yep.
And I also want to say about Tone. Shout out to Tone. I have a friend, Yvette, that he and I have been supporters of y'all. He lives in Houston, Texas. His name is Kobe. I have been talking to him about the way in which Asians and Latinos have moved in the Jim Crow South for about 3 years now. And I constantly bring up the Asian American scholar, Claire Kim, the woman who Tone recently took a clip of her talking about how they viewed blacks essentially as like, you know, we're Asian and we're living in the South. We don't want to be contaminated by blackness.
They're trying to get into whiteness. They're trying to be white. They ain't trying to be. Come on, man.
What did you say?
No, I said they're trying to be white. They ain't trying to be with us.
Yeah. I'm saying a lot of those of us who are ADOS people, we need to look into that woman Claire Kim's work. Her work centers the Asian American experience, but in her work she says, yes, people can say throughout Asian American history, Asians have not been treated like white people, but to understand the position they've occupied in America, you have to reconcile with the fact that they were never treated as bad as blacks. They weren't treated as bad as the blacks in the Jim Crow South. And this is an Asian American scholar. I'm sitting and I'm watching people post clips, and I don't want to hold you up, but I got a lot to say about this movie. I'm sorry. I'm sitting and I'm watching clips that you know, ADOS folks are showing us Asians from the Mississippi Delta saying we had 3 different lanes and everybody had to stay in the lane. You do not hear an Asian woman say about life in the Jim Crow South, everyone had to stay in their lane. or else if they got out of their lane, then problems would come about. You don't hear that and then say the Asians was with us. No. I used to work for the post office delivering mail. I live in the city of Philadelphia. I would see these corner stores that are not owned by Adolf folks, and all I would think is they are coming here, and this is not to go on some anti-immigrant rant, but I'm sure you'll understand my point in that. They're coming here and they're being able to economically benefit from the history of us being spited.
Mm-hmm.
We can't own the grocery store.
And that's part of why they were brought here. That was part of the whole point, to break up Adolf's freedom. That was the point.
Exactly. Here in Philly, they call corner stores poppy stores because they're synonymous with Latinos. I would think about this as I'm delivering mail and packages to the corner store. We don't have the capital to open up the store. We're going to be treated differently by the banks, by the people that own the property, that sell the property. Statistically, we're one of the least likely demographics to own a vehicle to drive to a grocery store. So we're trapped in the neighborhood, and then people get the benefit off of how America sold us out. And I'm sitting here thinking, like, if they were doing it back then and it's still going on right now, how is this people being in community with us? Like, I'm coming to the conclusion even that my people, you have said it, Antonio has said it, my people don't know who they are, they don't know their history, and they're grasping at straws.
Well, also
it's not making any sense at all.
Well, that's a good point. I'll let you leave it at that, fam. I appreciate you calling in, and I agree with you, and appreciate you, fam. And let me just say one other thing. A lot of people are cowards too. We got a lot of people, and that's all my calls for tonight. We got a lot of people who will absolutely run around calling Africans tethers and all this stuff. But when it comes to like having a real kind of analysis of who Asians were, Chinese were during that period of time and the role that they played, you won't do that. Like, and I think to be in this position and to try to lead something, it can't just be, I just want to punch on this group of people and I just want to have an analysis lifted from ADOS about this group of people. No, it's about how we relate and our relationship to every group and how every group has gotten out ahead of us, because the intentionality of American systemic racism is to tether us to the bottom and everybody else gets to immigrate into whiteness. So if you're too much of a coward to kind of have that conversation, if you're too much of a slime ball, if you're too much of a sellout to have that conversation, maybe leave this space. Maybe this space isn't for you. Maybe do something else. Maybe stop using this space that's really for advocacy and go do whatever it is that you do with your life. But this thing and this movement is just not for you if you're kind of picking and choosing which group you feel strong enough, courageous enough to have a real analysis of. If you can't walk in that space, if you can't walk in these shoes, maybe this space just isn't for you. And maybe people should be brave enough to and clear-eyed enough to recognize this is not a space for people to sell out. This is a space for people to tell the truth. And that's the only way you can kind of lead in this ADOS space. I'm not just talking about this movie. I'm talking about really trying to have an analysis of who the Chinese were during this period. If you can't have that analysis, and if you can't make that analysis for a variety of reasons why you are constrained, then you just can't do it. Like, I'm just tired of people grifting in this space, and everybody just loves to grift, and it's just, and doesn't see like this is a whole people of color thing that doesn't make sense. Right. And instead of like having that conversation, it's like, we got to support Kugler. And it's just like, no, we didn't. We realized we made a mistake doing that with Obama. We didn't do it with Kamala. Have we learned or not? And that's the question everybody should ask themselves. Regardless of how you feel, you should be willing to interrogate these questions. And you should be pushing anyone who calls himself a leader, or anyone who doesn't call themselves a leader but still stands in leadership. You should be asking them like why they're cowering. But, you know, we all know the answers to this. For too long, in every aspect, this is not just about one person. In every aspect, we just got a lot of people who like to grift off the movement, but also want to be stars. So they don't ever want to upset Kugler or Michael B. Jordan because they want to be stars too. They all have stars in their eyes and ambitions, and never going to be nobody. But anyway, fam, let y'all go. Please keep it easy breezy. Don't bother nobody. Don't let nobody bother you. And I'm going to let y'all get out of here. Okay? All right.